Hello, this is Jevon. In this presentation, I will introduce you to my research in peripheral awareness, including an outline of the research methods used, preliminary results, and the potential implications of these results in terms of stress management, burnout prevention, and psychological health. Firstly, a brief introduction to what peripheral awareness is. Peripheral awareness is a particular mode of perception in which individuals are attentive to both their own thoughts and feelings as well as those of others, including the context that connects them. It is a type of attention that is simultaneously inward and outward focused, thereby making one more conscious of interrelatedness. Peripheral awareness has been found to enhance one's level of well-being and performance, as well as evoke particular transpersonal phenomena, which I will outline in this presentation. The process of peripheral awareness reframes one's current experience of self, placing phenomena within one's field of awareness as opposed to these being experienced outside or separate from oneself. Peripheral awareness involves the intentional observation of one's thoughts, feelings, and sensory perceptions in the present through opening the aperture of one's awareness. This type of opening is facilitated by means of expanding one's mode of perception to include the aspects of each unfolding experience that usually occur in or beyond the outskirts of awareness, and which are therefore usually unconscious or disregarded. In addition to identifying the subtleties of one's internal experience, peripheral awareness includes becoming receptive to the energetic and relational links between oneself and others and the environment. Depending on the individual and their reason for practicing peripheral awareness, the experience of self fluctuates and is therefore not an ultimate state, but rather one in which the individual experiences a felt sense of expansiveness and interconnection, resulting from disidentification from their limited self-concept. The history of peripheral awareness. In Buddhist tradition, during Vipassana or insight meditation training, peripheral vision is referred to as a soft and unfocused awareness that contains a very deep sort of knowing that is lost as soon as you focus your mind on one thing. Both neuropsychologist Rick Hanson and hypnotherapist Ernest Rossi correlate peripheral vision with the activation of the parasympathetic system, thereby switching on the body's relaxation response and blocking stress reactions. Peripheral vision is taught in some NLP courses where it is used as a way of establishing a calm and receptive frame of mind for the purpose of optimizing learning. NLP trainer John Overdorf claims to have used peripheral vision as a reliable approach to help clients flatten out anxiety and fear. I've been playing with peripheral vision since 2004, combining it with aspects of mindfulness practice, which shifted it from being a strongly visual exercise to one that includes soma awareness. This is what I now refer to as peripheral awareness. Soma awareness, simply put, is being in tune with the body and its signals. the value of which was articulated artfully by Merleau-Ponty. My body is not an object among all other objects, a nexus of sensible qualities among all others, but an object which is sensitive to all the rest, which reverberates to all sounds, vibrates to all colors, and provides words with their primordial significance through the way in which it receives them. A majority of my clients suffer from the symptoms of stress and burnout. In listening to how most of them describe their personal issues in their most challenging contexts, I've consistently detected that they were being negatively affected largely because of the way in which they focused on their situations. This focus was almost always narrowly fixated. Thus, they were usually unaware of what else was possible or achievable in those contexts. Even if they were aware of other possibilities, their locked-in ways of approaching the situation prevented them from establishing more resourceful perceptions and responses. In one sense, their problems remained problems largely because of tunnel awareness. Through learning and integrating peripheral awareness, these individuals have, to varying degrees, been able to shift their perception of themselves in relation to the challenging situation. This was brought about through the establishment of a more expanded sense of self, from where the issue could be seen and approached from a more holistic perspective. The process that I used in these sessions would then include guiding the client to embody their broader perspective, and from that expanded and interconnected sense of self, address the stressful situation as or if required. My clients and course participants report that peripheral awareness not only enables them to deal with stressful situations more resourcefully, they are able to establish a calm and mindful state with relative ease, which in turn enables them to sleep better, concentrate for longer, overcome mental blocks, and, through becoming less identified with their self-concept, they are less controlled by negative thoughts and reactions. Those who have integrated peripheral awareness through practicing it regularly have told me that they feel a deep sense of connection with others. Some speak of an enhanced connection with nature and the spiritual realm, while others refer more to a sense of oneness in which there is no real separation between subject and object. The implications of being in peripheral awareness in terms of stress management, burnout prevention, and psychological health care, based on what I have found through the work I've done with my clients, is the main motivation behind me wanting to research this phenomenon more in depth. Another motivator to embark in this study was based on the current lack of research in this particular area. The closest context that is reasonably well researched that I'm aware of is mindfulness. My research question is, how does peripheral awareness affect an individual's experience, particularly in stressful situations? The research methodology. I chose a mixed methods approach to researching peripheral awareness. The reason for incorporating both qualitative and quantitative approaches was to ensure that any potential biases on my own part, for example, possible beliefs in the effects of peripheral awareness, that might have influenced the outcomes of a qualitative analysis, could be compared to the results of a quantitative approach in order to reach a balanced, pragmatic, and accurate conclusion. The qualitative element of my research utilized interpretive phenomenological analysis, IPA, developed by Jonathan Smith. He suggests that IPA is a suitable approach when one is trying to find out how individuals are perceiving the particular situations they are facing, how they are making sense of their personal and social world. This is more or less my intention for this research project. Thus, IPA is positioned as an appropriate research methodology. Smith encourages us to recognize that, as is generally the case with qualitative research, there is no single, definitive way to do IPA. He points out that as one proceeds, one may find oneself adapting the method to one's personal way of working and the particular topic one is investigating. Research participant selection. I set out to find participants via social media platforms. There were no restrictions on the type of individual suitable for this research project, other than being between ages 16 and 60. 11 participants, 7 women and 4 men, of varying ages from 6 countries were the first to enroll, and thereafter I stopped accepting more participants. I settled for 11 participants, knowing that this number already exceeded a sufficient number of participants for an in-depth qualitative study. I allowed for the possibility that not all participants would complete the study, or that other issues might arise inhibiting the usability of each case. The research intervention. The participants' first step was to complete the 70 questions of a burnout self-diagnostic tool that I was given permission to use by the Sacred Space Foundation in the UK. This survey was also completed a month after the research intervention began, so that their before and after scores could be compared. The survey is designed to elicit one's level of well-being in terms of how near or far one is from burnout. The outcome of this survey will be discussed later in this presentation. Each individual participant was taught the technique of peripheral awareness via Skype. Following that, each participant received a copy of my Mindful Power audio program, which also teaches peripheral awareness. They were encouraged to listen to one part of the program per day for 24 consecutive days. There are 6 parts to the Mindful Power audio program, and each part applies peripheral awareness in a different context. All 11 participants reported that they did listen for 24 days, meaning that each part of the program was heard 4 times. The participants were also encouraged to practice the basic peripheral awareness skill regularly and to apply it as much as possible in challenging and stressful situations. The participants were asked to log their experiences with peripheral awareness up until the date of their interview, which was scheduled for a month after our initial Skype meeting. The interviews. All participants were interviewed according to a semi-structured protocol for which there were set questions and prompts. However, the primary course of the interview was determined by the ways in which the participants described their personal experiences using peripheral awareness in their own lives. Although there were unique exceptions in each case, the basic interview questions were constructed around the idea put forward by Smith et al. That IPA brings insight into an individual's subjective experience of their body and personal identity. The 10 questions were: can you relate your experience of peripheral awareness to experiences that you have had before? Has there been any change in your general state since learning and using peripheral awareness? Has there been any change in how you deal with stress since learning and using peripheral awareness? Have you noticed a difference in how you relate to people or the environment when in peripheral awareness? Have you noticed a difference in how you relate to yourself in peripheral awareness? What is your general experience of having learned and applied peripheral awareness? Has there been any change in how you deal with challenging situations since learning peripheral awareness? Has any part of the peripheral awareness technique been ineffective or irrelevant to you? Do you foresee any practical use of the peripheral awareness technique in your life? Finally, what kind of world would we see if more people were in peripheral awareness? Data collection and interpretation. All 11 interviews were recorded, and common phenomena amongst all participants were immediately noticeable. 5 of the recordings were not transcribable due to internet, computer, or microphone issues on the participants' side, making it difficult to hear them on Skype. Additionally, there was a problem of English not being the first language amongst 4 participants, with heavy accents making it difficult to understand them. The 6 recordings that were of good enough quality were transcribed and analyzed using IPA method. The IPA means of interpreting transcribed interviews operates at a level which is clearly grounded in text, but which also moves beyond the text to a more psychological level. At first, I highlighted the main phenomena that each participant described in their own words. 19 initial themes emerged. I then counted how many times those phenomena were given emphasis in each interview and ranked them according to the amount of emphasis given to each. I created a word cloud, which can be viewed in this slide, depicting the phenomena that the participants expressed to be their experience of peripheral awareness. From most emphasized to least emphasized, these phenomena are awareness. In this context, the participants were referring mainly to having more sensory awareness, as well as an increased awareness of thoughts and feelings. Objective. The participants referred frequently to seeing the bigger picture and identifying more interrelatedness. Easy to learn and apply, and becoming more embodied and automatic with practice. Connected, more of a felt connection with others and the environment, leading to compassion, well-being, resourceful responses in challenging situations. Disidentification, which meant being less identified with their thoughts and their self-concept. Non-reactive, and thus more freedom from negative emotions, being present and feelings of aliveness. Mindful approaches to both regular tasks and in challenging situations. Calmness, stillness, as in little or no distracting self-talk. Inner peace, relaxation, clarity, resilience, performance, as in being creative and productive, flow, communication, as in relating to people and expressing themselves better, intuition, in terms of being more in tune with their gut feel, and receptive to people's needs. These initial themes are the words that the research participants used to describe their experience of peripheral awareness, based on their own maps of reality and vocabulary. I'm currently in the next stage of analysis where Smith et al. Suggest looking for patterns across cases in order to build a thematic structure. Multiple themes will likely be abstracted, and one superordinate theme with subthemes has already been identified. In this case, the superordinate theme represents the experience of peripheral awareness that some of the participants were not able to articulate consciously, but can be abstracted from their descriptions as central to the experience of peripheral awareness. Mindfulness was not the most used word amongst the participants, but it showed up unanimously as a superordinate theme. I took two definitions of mindfulness into consideration. The first one by Jon Kabat-Zinn is, mindfulness means paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. Secondly, mindfulness from a Buddhist tradition has been referred to as a softly flowing moment of pure experience that is interlocked with the rest of reality, not separate from it. The Buddhist meditation teacher Bhante Gunaratana also refers to mindfulness as non-conceptual, non-egoic, non-judgmental, and non-attached awareness that involves goalless, participatory, and wakeful observation in the present. Re-listening to the interview recordings and paying careful attention to each participant's individual experience of peripheral awareness has revealed that in all cases, mindfulness was established in varying degrees depending on the context in which peripheral awareness was applied. Sub-themes linked to mindfulness were well-being, calmness, a deep sense of connection with others and the environment, empathy, compassion toward others and oneself, a sense of objectivity, less identification with thoughts and emotions, less reactiveness, being highly present, sometimes described as aliveness, as well as resourcefulness and creativity. Further analysis. I'm exploring the option of incorporating qualitative data analysis software. After an extensive search on the web, I decided to try hyper-research software. The primary interest in using software in my research analysis is to ensure of accurate elicitation of the phenomena described by each of the research participants. A crucial issue here may be that, depending on their background, the participants use different vocabulary and expressions to describe similar types of phenomena. I'm therefore a little skeptical about how a software program is going to detect certain nuances, and this concern is shared amongst other qualitative researchers. For this reason, I'm not relying on the use of software in the data analysis, but merely exploring how it might be useful in doing the analysis as accurately and objectively as possible. As I mentioned earlier, the burnout self-diagnostic tool was included as an element of quantitative research to compare with the qualitative method that comprises most of this study. It was used as a means to investigate if practicing peripheral awareness influences one's level of stress and burnout. The participants completed the survey prior to commencing the program, and they completed it again 1 month later. The outcome of this exercise was that the participants experienced, on average, a 26% reduction in their stress and burnout levels after 24 days of practicing peripheral awareness. This can be considered a 26% improvement in their baseline level of well-being. The strengths and limitations of this research. Based on the time frame of this research project and the fact that I'm currently living in a region where English is not widely spoken, I relied on social media as a way of interesting participants from abroad to enroll in my study. This meant having a diverse group of participants, which was interesting for me, although a more homogeneous group, for example, studying a group of executives working in a high-stress environment, would have contextualized the research more. During the interviews and the analysis of them, I have explored, where possible, the participants' experience of both somatic and transpersonal perceptions when they are in peripheral awareness. In this regard, using Skype as our communication medium was somewhat limiting due to the lack of being able to visually calibrate to the participants' full body responses to the interview questions. To this end, the analysis of my interviews pays careful attention to the expression of the participants' physical experience through identifying, in addition to their verbal report, the points that were difficult to articulate, as well as unconscious sounds like and for example, including their non-verbal communication, like pauses, for example. This is in order to give voice to the felt experiences and bodily phenomena that might be associated with peripheral awareness, but which were not always easy for the participants to identify or put into words. Being in peripheral awareness myself during the interviews enabled me to feel with the participants, and these feelings or intuitions prompted spontaneous follow-up questions that in some cases enabled the participants to explore pertinent aspects of their experience that might not otherwise have arisen. Were we sitting in the same room, I believe that this highly relevant part of the research might have been more effective. Kabat-Zinn refers to mindfulness as a way of becoming aware of our lived experience. When it comes to a qualitative study, I believe mindfulness is a practical tool for researchers. Conclusion. About a month after the research intervention had been completed, I sent an email to all 11 research participants, asking about their current levels of stress and well-being. I received replies from all except one of the participants. Each reply stated that the participants were less triggered by what used to cause them stress and negative emotional reactions, as well as that they were experiencing more well-being and resourcefulness in their life. Almost all of them also reported that they were finding it relatively easy to access peripheral awareness whenever they wanted to, including in challenging situations. This was summed up nicely by one participant who stated that, "I can now drop into the state of peripheral awareness very quickly, like I decide to go into it and there it is." The outcomes of this research suggest that peripheral awareness may be a useful approach to enhance mindfulness and improve well-being, while helping one to deal with stress resourcefully and prevent burnout. Future research. There are 3 areas in which I see research in peripheral awareness being of potential value to society. One is to study how peripheral awareness affects performance in stressful contexts at work. The second is exploring how peripheral awareness affects learning and concentration, especially amongst children with ADD and ADHD. The third is experimenting with peripheral awareness in consciousness research as a potential bridge between the personal and transpersonal levels of consciousness. Thank you for your attention. Questions and comments, welcome.